All right, everybody. Welcome to a little tutorial about enhancing a metal guitar tone with a distortion pedal. Most of the time, people or many people ask me about how I get my extreme pick attack in my guitar tones and how I get that refined and very clean but extremely distorted tone on my metal songs. And it's a very simple thing to do, but a lot of people, and mostly the beginners that just dive into audio creation, audio mixing, just don't know about it. So if you normally create a metal tone, basically what do? You add in a track in your favorite digital audio workstation. Let's do that. I'm gonna use the TSC X50 V2 plugin bundle for demonstration purposes here. It ships with a stomp box section, preamp, power amp, cabinet, and FX rack, where you can add in equalizers and stuff. So that is everything we need to create an awesome metal tone, basically. So I'm gonna deactivate the stomp box and the FX rack for the moment. The first thing you usually do is you select your amp. And in this case, I just go ahead and select the TSC X50, which is a basic simulation of the PV5150 metal head. It's an amazing amp. You can use it for a lot of metal styles, mostly for the freaking heavy tunes like metalcore or gent. It's very well known. It's a great bang for the buck in real life if you buy it. It's not that expensive compared to competitors like Mesa Boogie dual rectifiers or angled power bars, for example. And it sounds amazing. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna use the red channel and leave everything to noon, low, mid, treble. I'm not gonna use the MK2 mod. Low end is on noon, presence noon. Everything's on noon. The power amp, I'm using the 6L6GC power tubes, and I don't mess with the bias here. Okay, as a cabinet, let's select something more common. I'm gonna use the Fat Lazy Caps, the Orange Crush, which is basically an orange 4x12 cabinet. Okay, and gonna engage the direct recording, and now we're gonna take a listen how that sounds like. Cool. A little bit bland, a little bit washy. There's no pick attack to it. Something is missing. It's not brutal. So, and usually, if you're a beginner and you just put this plugin on your track for the first time, what do you do basically? You try to mess around with the amp settings to get rid of that not very heavy tone. You want to get more pick attack. You want to get the oomph in it. So what you basically do is you look at the channel strip and go like, maybe more mid-range. Okay, let's try that. Did it help? Not so much. Okay, mid-range didn't help, but we're gonna leave it there. What next? Oh, gain. Gain is awesome. Gain is for metal. How about the pick attack? Not so much, right? And the palm mute sound a little bit dull. It's just all washy and not really great, right? Okay, now here we go ahead and introduce something, which is called a distortion pedal. And like I said, this is a beginner tutorial. There are a lot of people who don't know about how to use the distortion pedal on a metal tone. First off, it's kind of counterintuitive, I have to say, because you have a metal preamp with a lot of gain. So why should you put a distortion pedal in front of that metal amp? So at first, it kind of makes no sense, and that is perhaps why most of the beginners in digital audio creation or digital audio workstations don't really think about that. So first, what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna add in some noise gate to get rid of that little bit of ugly noise we got here. All right. Enable it. Good. Now it's quieter. Okay. So we can add in a TSC 808. This plugin is available as a standalone plugin. I'm gonna put the link on YouTube below the video in the video description. So this plugin is available as a standalone. It's called TSC 808 version 2.0 Lite. It has everything that is available here. You got the drive, the tone, and the volume. Let's enable this and see how the tone sounds now. So everything is back to noon here on the X50. And on our distortion pedal here, we got no drive. The drive is down to 0%. We got 50% volume, and the tone is just at noon 2. So let's listen to that. So it's already better. Let's turn it off. Ooh. Back on again. All right, that already sounds a lot nicer. Now you have some options. Now you have to balance the overdrive or the distortion pedal with your preamp. And that's a very... That's a lot about taste, how you like your tone. I personally like a lot of pick attack. So usually what I want to do is I want to get as much distortion out of the distortion pedal as I can before it hits the preamp. So usually my goal is to dial down the gain of the amp as low as I can and boost the tone and the volume of the pedal as much as I can. So let's put this back to noon and just raise the volume of the distortion pedal by 25%. And let's see how that works. So basically what we accomplished here is we gained a lot of pick attack and a lot more gain, but without losing clarity. compared to raising the gain on the amp. If I do that, so I deactivated the distortion pedal and I only raised the gain a lot here to 90% of the X50 amp, this is what happens. It sounds like a continuous audio signal, like it all gets washy. There's no pick attack anymore, and if I pull off 16th notes, it sounds like this on a deep A string. That is not sounding really good. So back to noon again. Stomp box. A lot better. So now we can adjust the tone a little bit. So most likely what you want to do is to raise the tone a little bit to get that clarity into your tone. There are some people who always go like this. Always. On every single metal tone, they go 100% tone. I personally don't like that very much. You can do it. It would sound like this. Now we can pull back the preamp gain even a little bit because it gets a little bit too much. Let's pull it back, try it. But that is a little bit, it's a little bit too much in my opinion. So what I like is I've tried to find a very nice balance between the gain of the amp. Let's put it to 35% maybe. And the volume and tone. So these three knobs are very, very important to find that sweet spot where you got this nice attacky metal tone without getting washy and sounding dull. So let's find this sweet spot a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna back down the tone a little bit, like 70% maybe. Raise the gain to 40% here. Back down the volume to 70%. Let's see how that's working. A little bit too much gain in my opinion. If you mix that in a song, that's probably too much gain, and it doesn't make your guitar tone stand out in the mix very much. So let's back down the gain of the preamp a little bit to like 32%. That's always pretty nice. I think we can boost the tone a little bit more. Let's go to 77% maybe. That's working pretty goddamn good. Let's compare that with a amp only tone now. What? That's my preamp without the distortion pedal. It sounds freaking ugly. Shoot it. Nice. Okay, so what do you learn from that? Don't mess with your gain of your amp that much. Don't push it like to 100% and think without a stomp box in front of it, without a distortion pedal, you can achieve the same results. That does not work. Because the gain of a preamp is not the same compared to the distortion capabilities of a distortion pedal. And here is the last thing that most people do wrong. There are people out there who state, okay, if you're using the TSC 808 or the original Ibanez distortion pedal in, the real thing, there are some people that say, okay, if you want to get a nice metal tone, do the following: volume 100%, tone 100%, and then adjust your preamp so the sound is good. What? No, you don't do that. Why? Depending on your input signal of your guitar, there are humbuckers that have a lot more output than other humbuckers. And if you state you can adjust the volume always to 100%, you making probably a very big mistake. And that mistake, I'm gonna show you that mistake when I do the following. So let's deactivate everything in the chain. So we got no preamp, no power amp, no cabinet whatsoever. The only thing we got in our signal chain now is the noise gate and the distortion pedal. It sounds a little bit bland. And if we watch the output here, we can clearly see, okay, everything is fine. But if I raise the volume to like 100%, watch the output. What do you encounter? Clipping. So, if you follow the words of the guys who tell you you can always put volume to 100% and tone, you're making a huge mistake. And what is this mistake? If you enable the preamp, power amp, and cabinet again, the sound sounds okay maybe. But actually what you're doing is between the stomp box and the preamp section, so you're sending a clipped audio signal from your distortion pedal into your preamp. An already clipped signal. Clipping in digital audio creation is totally nonsense. It makes no sense. Clipping usually means you have crackling in your audio. Your signal gets cut off at the top in loud volume. So you wanna make sure that your audio signal in your plugin chain is never clipping at any place, and that refers to the stomp box section, that refers to the preamp, that refers to the power amp, and that refers to the cabinet itself. So what you basically can do is deactivate all the plugins in the chain except the distortion pedal, and then adjust the output of the plugin so that your audio signal doesn't clip. It does clip. Okay, back off your volume. That sounds good. It hits the yellow part. That's very good. Okay, now next, the preamp. Now cover your ears. I know a preamp without the cabinet sounds a little bit. give that a little bit more boost here. Okay, now we're not clipping here. Now let's introduce the power amp. Not clipping, introduce the cabinet, and everything is fine. There you go. And you can make sure this way that you don't you have a clipping signal within your plugin chain, right? Okay, so what did we learn in this tutorial? We learned how to use a distortion pedal in front of your preamp. Don't mess too much with your gain knob of your amp. Try to keep it as low as possible and boost your input signal with the overdrive pedal or with your distortion pedal, but without clipping your signal before it hits the preamp. That's basically it. I hope it helped you a lot. I hope you can create a lot better metal tones, a lot clearer and a lot more attacky metal tones with it. So thanks for watching and have fun with it. Bye-bye.